Now, good morning, students. Welcome to our today's lecture on work ethics. In our lecture today, we are going to define the term work ethics. And there are a number of photos I'll be using. I'll be having a number of photos to demonstrate what is ethics at a workplace, what it pertains, or what it entails. Now, this morning, I'll begin my lecture with a number of descriptions and explanations here and there, with 3 pictures on the first slide of my presentation. Now, that said, we are going to look at work ethics, and work ethics is about values, it's about principles. Work ethics is about morality. And when you look at the pictures on the slide 1, the first picture at the top has a number of drawings, but I'll not focus on those drawings. Let's look at the second picture on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side. So the picture on the left-hand side indicates a number of boxes. And on those boxes, you can see the term morality, relationship, behavior, and even the word business ethics. You can also see the other term, business ethics. We have the word choice. So you can see the word choice is named after business ethics, which is indicated in red. The next word is responsibility. Responsibility. The other word is trust. The word trust, reliability, and lastly, principle. Now, those are some of the values that demonstrate what ethics or work ethics is all about. Morality, relationship, behavior, choice, responsibility, trust, reliability, and principle. Those are the values within the work ethics. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see the stairs. There are stairs there, a number of stairs. On those stairs, we have writing. We have the word inspiration, determination, innovation, excellence, passion, and a vision. And you can see somebody running, somebody is rushing. And we ask ourselves, why is he rushing? There is a trophy at the top of the last stair. There is a trophy. You can see that trophy. So if you combine these items or values, both on the left and the right, then you will achieve success. You will succeed. And that's why that person is easily moving on the stairs. So you can see he's rushing to pick or to get or to be given a trophy. So with the morality, among other things on those values we have just mentioned, then you'll succeed in your life. Now then, we move on You're moving on to slide number 2. You can also see those core values repeated there. You can read for yourself this time round. We have talked about a number of them in the previous slide. So take time and read those core values presented on the slide. Good. You have come across the word integrity, responsibility, trust, honesty, equality, and the word passion. So human beings need to be responsible. You need to carry along with yourself with a high moral integrity. You need to have passion to do a particular task, equality, being equal. There is need to have honesty, trusting in something or in whatever you are doing, among others. So those values form what we call ethics at a workplace. But let's move on and see. So the question we are asking in this lecture is, what is ethics? That introductory bit has now given us some hint of what ethics is. So we shall move straight to the course purpose. So the purpose of the course is to train attendees on ethical issues at the workplace, those issues of passion, determination, tolerance, integrity, trust, responsibility, etc. These are the lines we have to define what is ethics and what is work ethics. So by the end of the course or the lesson, then the learner or the trainee should be able to define the term ethics and what work ethics is. So we're going to give a detailed description of what ethics is. We're going to give a detailed description or explanation of what ethics is. And you can see that ethics is derived from a Greek word ethos. So the word ethics comes from a Greek word. And that Greek word is ethos. And ethos means custom. And it also from Latin word moros, meaning customs. So ethos in Greek means custom. And in Latin word, moros means customs. So it's a group of moral principles, standards of behavior, or a set of values regarding proper conduct in the workplace. A group of moral principles, standards of behavior, or a set of values regarding proper conduct in the workplace. So that conduct in the workplace is what we are referring to as ethics. So then we also argue that ethics relates to a value system of cultural beliefs, standards of conduct, what a society deems as being right or wrong. So what the society deems or thinks that is right or wrong is what you are referring to as ethics. And something might be unethical, but legal. So there are some things that are unethical, but they are legal in nature. Then we move on to the next bit. So ethics is concerned with how a moral person should behave, whereas values are the inner judgments that determine how a person actually behaves. And values concern ethics when they pertain to beliefs about what is right and wrong. So the manner in which somebody behaves in a society is what we're referring to ethics. And the values are those judgments that determine or demonstrate how a person should behave. So the values are inner rights that the person have, and those inner judgments demonstrate how somebody ought to behave or conduct himself. Now, we also argue that ethics refers to principles that define behavior as right. So they refer to principles that define behavior as right, good, and proper. So ethics is about being right, behavior being good, and the behavior being proper. And such principles do not always dictate a single moral course of action, but provide a means of evaluating and deciding among competing options. So you need to have that moral course of action and provide a means of evaluating and deciding among competing options. Now, practically speaking, we have this equation of two issues put at play. Somebody gives you, or you go to a place and tells you that if we are going to steal from this organization 50,000 US dollars, then I'll give you 10,000 US dollars. 10,000 US dollars. If you help him come steal this amount, say for example, you are a bank manager and somebody, a senior officer comes and say that if we steal this amount, $50,000, then I will give you 10,000 USD. We'll give you 50,000 USD. So as an ethical person, the question we want to ask ourselves, will you be able to pick that amount? Will you be able to help him steal that amount? So that's the question that we are asking ourselves here. And we want to find out if you are ethical, if your behavior is ethical. Then if you have those two competing options, then you pick on one that says you are not going to partake that activity, you are going to report that action, then that entirely means that you are an ethical person, you are a moral upright person. But if you go for the option of now stealing so that you benefit, then it means that you are unethical. Or sometimes, say for example, you are going to sit for the exam, you are going to do the exam. Then somebody tells you that if we happen to cheat in that exam, then we will pass the exam. So if you are unethical, you don't have those moral principles, then you'll go ahead cheating in an exam. You'll cheat in an exam so that you pass the exam. That demonstrates that you are immoral. You don't have ethical principles that are governing you as an individual. Now, then we move on. Still on definition, we have another definition from Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, which defines ethics as the science that deals with morals. Ethics is a science that deals with morals. It is the systematic study of the fundamental principle of the moral law, or as normative science of human conduct. So ethics is about fundamental principles of the moral law or normative science of human conduct. So this implies that, or means that, ethics is basically a normative science as distinct from the descriptive or empirical sciences. So ethics has to do with norms. Norms is about behavior, conduct, the way of life, how people should behave. Norms. So then we move on to the next item. So let's we're going to define what is ethics. We have given that definition. So ethics is particularly accepted set of morals, accepted principles, and the values is what modification in the term ethics. The word morals comes in, the word values also come in play. So morals describe the goodness or badness or right or wrong of actions. So the goodness, the badness, or the right, and even the wrong of actions is what we are referring to as the morals. Then values describes individual or personal standards of what is valuable or important. So values, we have values such as, say for example, values such as trust, the value of responsibility, concern, the value of hard work, the value of diligence, determination. Those are some of the values. Honesty. But morals have to do with the picking either something that is good or bad, right or wrong. Like you are presented with a case of theft. Somebody say that we want to rob a bank. Then there are two things there. It's wrong or it's right, it's good or bad. But if you are an ethical person with good moral judgment and the values of honesty, trust, concern, then you will say that robbing a bank is something bad. It is something wrong. It's a wrong action that needs to be avoided. So moral is about making that judgment about what is good and bad or right and even wrong. And the values are those standards that you set in terms of how you want to conduct yourself. So you see, the term ethics is about morals and the morals and values in a society or in a community. Now, then we state that most people have convictions about what is right and wrong based on religious beliefs, cultural roots, family background, personal experiences, laws, organizational values, professional norms, and the political habits. So people sometimes judge what is right and wrong based on their religion, what teaches, Muslim or Christian teaches, morals among people, so that they judge what is something that is right and wrong. There is also culture of the people. The culture of the people also demonstrates that some things are wrong, others are right. Family background, the family values that families have, that families abhor, teach people about what's right and wrong, bad, good. Personal experience in life, some people maybe have been imprisoned because of vices, or case of immorality, lack of values. The laws of a country also dictate how people need to behave. So we are talking about the laws of the country, organizational values, what the organization has set out. The organization set out some values can dictate what is right and wrong in the institutional organization, professional norms, and the political habits. And we therefore move on and say that ethical values such as trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship, personal and professional beliefs vary over time among cultures and among members of the same society. So these values in a society keep on changing. Trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, etc. vary over time. So as times change, then this value system also change. These values also get to a change in the society. So they're not static, they're not fixed. They keep on changing within the society. They keep on changing day in, day out. So these ethics, values, and morals are also continuous historical disagreement even worse. So if people do not have values, morals, and ethics, they will having disagreements. There will be rise in wars. There will be war in the countries because of lack of ethical behavior, values, and even morals. So there is something wrong with having a strong person in the professional moral convictions about right and wrong. But unfortunately, some people are moral imperialists who seek to impose their personal moral judgments on others. Now, you see, sometimes people, organizations impose their personal moral judgments to other people. Like what they see as moral might not be moral to on your part. They are parts of the country where people eat snakes, people eat frogs, but there are parts of the there are many other parts of the country where people do not eat snakes. They see eating snake is an immoral thing. You lack some values. There are some places where people. I was watching some video from some of the African countries where women are beaten before they get married. And that society believes that beating of a woman is a norm, is something that is accepted because before they get married, then they should be beaten up. So those who remain stiff, strong, without crying, they got married, and that symbolize that people be able to withstand the challenges in a marriage life. But some community not after that. That community feel that that kind of beating is something cultural, something acceptable. But some communities do not. So you will find that some communities or some people will force some personal moral judgment on others. So sometimes these moral convictions are community based. Each community can come up with its own judgment, its own value system, and they can dictate what is good and what is right, what is wrong, etc. But such kind of things might not be worth in another community. Some other communities might not take those as values. So people sometimes impose such kind of values, such kind of moral convictions, moral judgments on others, which is not right, that's wrong. And sometimes we need to stop that with immediate effect so that we don't actually affect people. So we move on to the next aspect. So we say that moral principles that form the subject matter of ethics are about the way people ought to behave in terms of commitment to their work, their team, integrity, and being self-disciplined. So the way people ought to behave in terms of a commitment, in terms of their team, integrity, and being self-disciplined is what we are referring to as the moral principles. So it does follows that ethics primarily is the critical investigation of the norms of conduct to which human actions ought to conform. That ethics is the critical investigation of the norms of conduct to which human actions ought to conform. So human beings need to conform to some norms of conduct in the society in a bid to demonstrate the concept of ethics. So we still go on with our definition. We want to make this definition detailed on ethics so that we understand clearly what ethics is all about. So ethics is also defined as the discipline of dealing with what is good and the bad, with moral duty and obligation. Moral duty and obligation. So you deal with what is good and bad. So you are able to separate what is good and the bad with having a moral duty and an obligation. Now, talk for example, in a case of the exam situation, some students cheat in an exam. Some do not cheat in an exam. But we want to ask, what is your obligation as a student? What is your obligation as a student? in terms of the exam. Your obligation is to sit to prepare for the exam and to sit for the exam without having cases of cheating in that particular exam. So those who do not have that obligation and do not have that moral duty will go ahead to cheat in an exam to get quality grades or good marks, which is not right, it is wrong. So ethics is a set of moral principles or values, as we have said, moral principles and values, as we have said. So the principle of conduct governing an individual or a group. So this principle of conduct that governs an individual or a group is what we are referring as ethics. As ethics. Now we move on to something else here. So we want to talk about ethics and human, because ethics is a concept that affects human. Then we want to see how ethics is tied or related to human beings, individuals, of course. So ethics is the systematic study of the fundamental principles of the moral law. Systematic study of the fundamental principles of the moral law, or the normative science of human conduct. So the fundamental principle of moral law, or the normative science of human conduct, is what we are referring as ethics. So you can see ethics is about the normative science of how human beings should conduct themselves. How human beings should conduct themselves. So it is the study of human behavior. Ethics is the study of human behavior. So we are generally studying the concept of human behavior, how human beings ought to behave. Human beings are social animals. Human beings are social animals, and we are looking at how human beings ought to behave. So ethics studies human actions and judges them to be right or wrong. So it studies the human actions, and by doing that, you give a judgment of what is right or wrong. So in ethics, we only deal with human actions, those actions that are done by a human person consciously, deliberately, in view of an end. So human actions that are done by a human person consciously, deliberately, are what ethics revolves about or around. So in human history, the origin of ethics and moral consciousness cannot be easily traced back. It is the result of a long process of rational development and evolution. So you cannot trace the concept of ethics and moral consciousness among human beings. It is just a result of the long process of rational development and evolution. So we have seen how ethics here is tied to human, and we have just demonstrated that ethics is about human behavior, the normative science of human conduct, actions done by human person consciously, deliberately, and in view of an end. So then we proceed and we look at aspects of ethics in our community. We want to give some forms of examples, some forms of cases of ethics. So I've made a quote here, and the quote is from some scholar. They say that the best short definition I've had courtesy for my friend Sterling is that morals are how you treat people, you know. So morals are how you are going to treat people that you know, and ethics are how you treat people you do not know. That is quite interesting and quite comprehensive. So morals is about how to treat people you know, and the ethics is how you treat people that you do not know. So people that you do not know, how do you treat people that you know? If I may ask such a question, how do you mostly treat people that you know in your community? How you treat people that you know in your community spells what your morals are like. So if you have you have morals, then you can treat the people that you know by doing the following. By doing the following, by offering them opportunities, by assisting them partake certain duties they are not able to do, by encouraging them, by providing them basic needs, etc. That's about the morals. Then ethics are how you treat people you don't know. These are strangers, people that you come across on the road, people that you come across at the workplace, you are new in a workplace, people that you come across in a vehicle, in a transport vehicle. How do you treat people in such kind of situation? People that you do not know. It's very important that you consider that. So if you treat them well, then we shall say that you are ethical. And we have also said that we want also to give a practical example and say that your morality is what makes you a good wife, husband, dad, or mother. So on the question of morality as a father or a mother, husband or wife, then these people, if they are moral, then they should take care of their children, taking care of the children, providing the basic needs for children, basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing. That's being moral. Condemning evils among your children. Then morality is about being a good daughter or son or a good friend. So if you are moral, so a good person, a good daughter or son should have morality. So even a good employee or a boss to the people you know personally in the company needs to exhibit the concept of morality in a society, concept of morality in a society. So employees or bosses at a company, institution, organization should be moral, should carry with them some moral values. Now you have seen these practical examples on ethics and morality. Then we move to another component. We are asking ourselves this question. Is ethics theoretical stroke practical? Is ethics theoretical stroke practical? So it is both. Ethics is both theoretical and practical. It is both theoretical and practical. It is both theoretical and practical. So something that is theoretical is a given in form of, say, for example, a discussion. What you're saying here is theoretical. I'm teaching this course theoretically. I'm explaining these concepts theoretically. it is not practical. We are not actually practical because we are not now in the field whereby we can demonstrate this concept that you are talking about. We are not in the workplace, we are not in the school, but it becomes practical if issues that I teach in this session on ethics, you can easily apply them at home. You can easily apply them at the workplace. You can easily apply them at the school. You can easily apply them on the road when you are meeting strangers and other people. So we are doing them theoretically. It is theory. It is not practical in nature. And that's why when we teach a theoretical aspect, then there is the practical bit of it. And that practical bit of it is what we're referring to as now being able to demonstrate or explain such issues. So if you make these issues practical, then you'll go out and start implementing or doing what we have learned in this session. You'll become practical by helping a friend, punishing the wrong, condemning the wrong in a society, providing the basic needs to the family if you are a parent, and even assisting the needy in the society. So that's then the concept of practicability comes about when you demonstrate these things within the society, within the community. So ethics is both theoretical and practical. And listen to this. So it is theoretical in as much as it provides the fundamental principles on the basis of which moral judgments are arrived at. So it is practical in as much as it's concerned about an end to be gained and the means of attaining it. Now, therefore, when you go out in a society, then you demonstrate these things in a society, then you are being practical. You are applying what you learned theoretically in a school or in a, say for example, in a college or in a given training, a conference, etc. So then we move on to something else, again, on ethics and morality. We want to talk about ethics and morality. We have talked about ethics and human, ethics, morals, and the values. We want now to shift our direction to ethics and morality. Ethics and morality. So ethics is sometimes distinguished from morality. In such cases, ethics is the explicit philosophical reflection on moral beliefs and the practices, while morality refers to the first order beliefs and the practice about good and evil, by means of which we guide our behavior, e.g. music and musicology. So ethics become the explicit philosophical reflection on moral beliefs and the practices, while morality refers to the first order beliefs and the practice about good and evil, by means of which we guide our behavior. So that's a brief highlight of what ethics and morality is. And we earlier on talked about what is ethics and what is morality in our earlier discussion on this lesson. So then we move on to something else. And I want to give just a photo as we approach the end of the session. Now look at that photo there. Take time and look at the photo. So that particular photo summarizes what we have been talking about on the concept of ethics and morality. It gives a good summary of what we have been talking about all through in the past like 50 minutes. So ethics is about deciding what is good and wrong, what is bad and the good. So the person holding those items, you can see there's a tick and there's a cross on the left hand side. There's a tick on the right hand side. So in this photo, we demonstrate that ethics with the tick on the right hand side, that is what we are referring to as good, what is right, what is moral, what is expected. But on the left hand side, that cross indicates wrong. It wrong, unexpected, and the bad. So ethics is about deciding what is good, right, bad, or wrong, expected or unexpected. So that's what entirely what ethics is all about. I want to take some few minutes as we wrap up, as we wind up, and play a video that will take us a minute or two, if it's possible. Then we'll listen to the contents of the video on ethics. So you listen to the contents of the video as I play it here in this session.
Minutes. I think you need a professional animator. The 20th century existentialist philosopher Albert Camus stated that a man without ethics is a wild beast loosed upon this world. In this lecture, we are going to provide an introduction to ethics. To do so, we will
Now we end our session at that point. We have had some time with this session. Then we stop there for now. We shall pick up at another time later in the day.